technology over here.
Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
All right. Tough loss, obviously. Not much more to be said other than, our plan to win the very first two things on it are play great defense and win the turnover battle. And we did neither of those on Saturday afternoon. You're not going to win games against very good teams, especially on the road, especially in an environment where the opponent now is 13-0 in their last 13 home ball games by turning the ball over 3 times, not getting any, not stopping the run, giving up an offensive touchdown, and basically giving up 9 points on special teams with a safety and an 85-yard kickoff, which for all intents and purposes was a kickoff return for a touchdown because they punched it in one play later. So, we didn't help our defense out at all on in the other 2 phases, basically giving them 16 points. And against a team like that at their place, from a pure defensive scoring metric, we actually, our defense held them to less touchdowns than the team last year. We just happened to play a lot better on offense and a lot better in the kicking game. So, one thing I want to make clear is that, we're not good enough, although I shouldn't say good enough. We're not deep enough, talented enough to play a C-level game when another team is playing their A-level game and win. We're just not, and I know we were the fifth-ranked team in the country. I know, because we were playing like it. And playing like it and having the talent and depth. You look at the other teams around us in the top 10, I don't think anybody would argue that we've got as much, if not more talent than anybody there. And so that's the challenge when you're playing and you're capable of any Saturday beating anybody. At a place like the University of Houston, you're also, if you don't show up and bring your A game, you're capable of losing to anybody. Whereas, some of the other elite teams, top 10 teams in the country, can have a subpar game and still win. Ohio State didn't score an offensive touchdown until the third quarter against Tulsa, wound up winning 41-3. So I think, there's many other teams kind of in that top 10 that can have an off day and still come out with a win, and we can't, and we need to realize that. And it's my job as a head coach to make sure that we realize that. The good news, and I told our team this yesterday in a team meeting, kind of a state of the program after a season and a half. In 14 months, we're 18-2. That's a 900 winning percentage. I think that's pretty damn good. We're 5-0 against top 25 teams, 2-0 against top 10 teams, and we have shattered numerous records on both sides of the ball. Some really cool things too. We have an opportunity to have the best back-to-back seasons in the storied history of the University of Houston football. The win total for that over a 2-year span sits at 21 right now. We're at 18. And then I think maybe even cooler than that, for a 4-year span. So for this senior class, the record for wins in our storied program's history is 36. And we're at 34 right now, starting in 2013. So this senior class has a chance to go out as far and away the most accomplished senior class in the history of University of Houston football. And so there's a lot of things positively to point to in terms of the state of the program. The biggest one, or the biggest thing though, that we do have to realize is, yes, are we capable of beating Florida State and Oklahoma and Louisville on any given Saturday? Absolutely. But we're also not talented enough, not deep enough to go on the road and play a C game against a very formidable opponent such as Navy or really anybody that's left on our schedule and come out with a win. And I think our guys realize that. And although the loss hurt and it should hurt, you know, we flushed it yesterday. Our guys had a really, really energetic Sunday night practice yesterday. I was encouraged by that, and I think, you know, as we come ready to prepare this week, I think we had a really good week of preparation for Navy. We just didn't take that preparation to the field, and I think, you know, there's a lot of lessons to be taken from that game. We're playing a 4-1 Tulsa team that's playing much better on defense, and obviously their offense is really, really good as well. So I think I read it. We're number one in the country. I think we've got 5 straight 40-point or more games, and they're second in the country with 3 straight. So we're going to have to do a really good job of stopping that potent offense, and as well scoring points against a defense that's much improved from last year. Questions?
Tom, what were some of the lessons, takeaways from the game against Navy?
Well, I mean, as always, you can't turn the ball over, and you can't press on either side of the ball when you feel like the other side is maybe struggling a little bit. You know, pressing in this game is one of the worst things you can do, and trying to make things happen. You know, we've got to have a calmness about us on all sides of the ball that, hey, we may be in a 50-50 shootout, we may be in a 0-0 defensive struggle, we may be in a 20-20 game where, you know, one side is playing better than the other, but we've got to maintain our level of championship execution regardless of the scoreboard or situation, and not get too uptight. And I think, you know, again, you can't turn the ball over. I mean, I don't know that that's a lesson we learned on Saturday, but it was certainly one that was reinforced.
Coach, you said you flushed this and you move on to the next one. Do you still tell the team? I mean, obviously the conference championship was the goal going in. There's still a chance for that. Do you still go and say, hey, we can still go win this thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our goals are completely ahead of us. Again, our goal was not to go undefeated. Our goal was not just to beat Oklahoma. Our goal wasn't to be ranked in the top 10 or 5 or whatever. Our goal was to win our conference, and that goal is still out there. Now we're going to need some help from Navy, obviously, but you know, from a big picture standpoint too, regardless of what Navy does, you know, and we don't talk big picture very often, but I felt that yesterday was an opportune time to talk about, again, the state of the program and you know, about how, you know, what we've done in 18 months, or excuse me, 14 months that we're 18-2 and 5-0 against top 25 teams and 2-0 against top 10 teams and all of that. But that being said, so you have this conversation about the big picture, and the big picture still is out there too, that we can go 11-1 with 2 top 5 wins on our resume, regardless of what Navy does. And you know, we'll hope that we get an opportunity at redemption in the conference championship game, but until then we have to take care of our business, which is the first order of that business is to beat Tulsa. So I think our guys know that is still out there, and they're going to hold out the confidence that it is until somebody tells us it's not, meaning that, you know, that Navy has done whatever it needs to do to clinch the West, but that's not for many, many weeks down the road.
Tom, this is kind of a two-parter with Brandon Wilson. What's the process to ease him into, or do you have to?
No. He's in. He was running with the first team yesterday. We took every rep. So the easing in from a high ankle sprain is the weeks prior. I mean, he was, you go from in a boot to walking to jogging to running full speed straight ahead to then cutting at 3/4 speed to then cutting at full speed, and then when the trainers then hand him over to you, they say, boom, he's good to go. So he's good to go.
In the way things have gone in the back row, either with Duke Hurt or just production from the back, would you consider using him at running back again?
No. We need his help on defense, and Dylan and Moba are giving us enough to where I don't think that we need to go that route just yet.
Tom, from a leadership standpoint, do you guys feel like you're feeling the effects of missing Landon Roberts in the linebacker room?
No. I mean, we feel the effects of missing Landon Roberts everywhere on this football team. Again, he's one of the top 2 leaders I've ever been around. Now, that's not to say that we have poor leadership. We've got really good leadership on this football team. But, I mean, that guy is, he's in an elite class. So anytime you lose a guy in an elite class like that, it's you'd rather have him than not have him. But I don't think it's specific to the linebacker room.
Tom, to kind of piggyback off of what he just asked, after the game, a couple of the players that were made available were team captains, and I asked them specifically on the defensive side if they felt with maybe some of the things that have happened lately, and it's not and with the team event, like you said last night, that was kind of a team event in the moment, but just the fact that things have happened the last 2 weeks, do you rely on them, or do you need them to step up and talk to players, talk to teams, that, hey, we can't, have this happening, or, we don't want to get put in these positions for things like that to occur?
We talked about it yesterday to the whole team, and I'm going to meet with the captains later today, in fact, too. And we talk about all the time. I mean, there's things that 7-5, 8-5 teams do, and there's things that 11, 12-win teams do, and the plan we talk about all the time. The plan is infallible, and the only thing that can screw up the plan is the decisions that people make. And if decisions like that are made on a continual basis, then you're gonna win 7 or 8 ball games, and that'll be the legacy of those 4 seniors. And I challenge them. We're working on getting a captain's wall put up in the stadium, and I even kind of visualize it. Okay, here's the captain's wall. Okay, 2015, Adrian McDonald, Landon Roberts, Kenneth Farrow, and Alex Cooper. Oh man, 13-1, Peach Bowl champs, New Year's 6, conference champs, great. Okay, what about 2016? Greg Ward, oh yeah, he was a good player. Cameron Malvo, good player. Brandon Wilson, good player. The good players. Oh, only 8 wins. Oh yeah, that was the year they started off with all these expectations, and something happened. And so I challenged them pretty good yesterday in front of the team, and I'll do it privately again today. But again, I'm not worried, not at all. I'm not concerned in the least. Everybody wants answers, to what when you lose a ball game. Again, the answer is we're not talented enough, we're not deep enough to play average to below average on the road against a good football team, and that's what we did, and we got beat. And but again, from a big picture standpoint of the team itself, yeah, the small little molehills, unless you stamp out every single molehill that you see, you're going to wind up with a mountain. And so we make mountains out of molehills around here. I think I said that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. You better believe we sweat the damn small stuff around here.
Could you describe, Tom, where your team was after the game to where they are now after going through a workout with you guys? You know, you're being together, how far they've come.
Oh, well, they're not crying anymore. I know that. It's an amazing thing, you know, football and this game and just a weekly process. It's very different than other games where, you know, in baseball, even college baseball, where they play 40 some odd games in a season, and basketball, you play 30 some odd, you know, the pros are even more. Where college football, you play 12 and they're only once a week. And so the wins are exhilarating and the losses are crushing. It doesn't matter what you're ranked or what's on the line or who you are. If you've got any competitiveness about you, you only got 12 of them, and when you lose one, it hurts really bad. And there were a lot of guys crying and emotional after the game. And even yesterday, I was a little bit worried because even in the team meeting that we had, you know, I saw a lot of long faces, and I was like, man, this is going to be a rough practice. But credit to our coaches. You know, I told our coaches yesterday, you know, I don't want any football talked for the first at least 15 minutes of your position meetings. I want, you know, hey, let's talk. You know, get our feelings out, get everything on the table. You know, and figure out, you know, what we're going to do as a position group to make sure that this never happens again. And so credit to them. I think those talks then, when we hit the field, it was like, I mean, guys were bouncing around and smiling. And again, I mean, it was a very, very crisp, fast, competitive practice. And it's just, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old boys. You know, you ride that wave of emotion, and that's okay. You know, as long as your low doesn't stay low and your high never stays high, it's okay to get that low, as long as you can get back up and get ready to play the next week. And all signs point to us being able to do that.
What's the Duke Catalan situation?
Had some more tests done today. Had a setback last week. Again, I defer when you talk about concussions. I mean, it's a very sensitive topic, so we've got a concussion specialist here that, you know, he had a setback from some symptoms. I don't know what those symptoms were last week. Had some more tests done today, and we should know, or I don't know that we'll know anything. We'll have a better handle on maybe where he's at later this afternoon. So right now, I mean, again, the symptoms are not anything exertion related, and so he's practicing in a yellow jersey, non-contact. So it's just a matter of, can we get these symptoms down to nothing over an extended period of time in order to get them cleared.
Tom, how do you guys defensively deal with Tulsa? Obviously, they're having a great deal of success running the ball and throwing the ball in their tempo.
You play with 12 and hope the refs don't see it. No, it's difficult. As it, you know, the Baylor, quote unquote Baylor offense, as it's kind of making its way from Baylor to Tulsa to Syracuse to now Texas. You know, people are finding out it's very difficult to defend because it's a run-first offense. But yet they split the field so wide with their wide receivers that it is very difficult to commit. You know, normally in defending spread run games, you know, your safeties are very involved in defending the run, and so now it's okay, are we going to get our safeties involved in defending the run, but yet they've got to cover all this grass should they decide to pass to get out there to help our corners and cover guys, or are we going to leave them out there to help the cover guys and hope we can stop the run with the 6 guys inside? And so, again, you got to stop the run first. Everything we do revolves around stopping the run, and then you adjust from there if they're hurting you in the pass game. But I think you commit in your game plan to stopping the run and go from there.
Coach, just how difficult is it at any level for a team to have an undefeated season? In your experience, I think you've been a part of one now.
Look at the numbers.
Basically, for all the reasons I think you've talked about today, with the roller coaster of having the emotions of young men on your team and depth that no matter what.
I think in the last 20 years, it's something like 0.8 a year go undefeated. That's out of 128 Division I FBS schools. So I'd say that percentage, is extremely low. And then you couple that, it's a lot easier when you get the best players in America. I say easier. It's the chances are greater when you have depth and you've got the best players in the country, such as the Alabamas and Clemsons and Ohio States and Michigans of the world. And so it's a lot more difficult, extremely difficult when you don't. I saw something. I think I read, Navy beat Houston with a bunch of 2- and 3-star recruits. Last I checked, have you seen what our roster is in terms of stars on there? And we're getting to the point where, we're signing a couple, 4-star kids a year, once in a blue moon, but we've got the, whatever it is, 30th ranked recruiting class in the country for 2017, and it's nothing but 3 stars. So, and we feel extremely proud of that. But that being said, you have to understand that the depth and the parity that you have in terms of talent week to week is, the depth is much less at a Houston, and the parity is much greater in terms of the level of talent week in and week out that you play.
Tom, I didn't get a chance to ask you after the game the other night, but on the snap, on the punt, just conditions, slipper.
Yep, and again, we hadn't lined up to punt all day. And so that's not to say he wasn't doing his part on the sideline. He's probably snapped the ball 100 times on the sideline and was okay, and everything was fine. But again, with 5.5 minutes to go in the game, you jog out there in those conditions, especially with your punter in the damn end zone. It's they're human, and we got to coach them better. We got to, I made a point where we're just going to do. When we did wet ball drills all week, we knew it was going to rain. We prepared for it, and he snapped great. And so the only thing I know is to just do more wet ball. So we're going to do wet ball drills every Tuesday after practice from here on out. But it wasn't as if Byron was unprepared from a rep standpoint, and just one of those things, the ball slipped.
And from a special team standpoint, just a little bit been here and there, but the PAT blocked and then the kickoff coverage, is that, the first touchdown set up with the big 85-yarder, is that how do you go and correct that, or is that a problem or an issue for you right now?
It is a problem, yeah, and we got to get some guys that are on scholarship on this football team that aren't starting on offense and defense to be have more contribution in special teams, and I challenge those guys. I'm not going to name them, but You know, there's plenty of guys right now that aren't redshirting, that aren't starting on offense or defense or playing a ton, but they're not playing on special teams. And if you're a backup running back, you're a backup wide receiver, you're a backup linebacker, you're a backup DB, or you're a backup tight end, and you don't play on special teams, what good are you to this football team? You know, what do you do for your scholarship? How do you earn your scholarship? You go out and practice? You know, what do you do on game days for us? And so I made that very clear that that's going to be imperative moving forward, that we got to get some of those guys that you know, and I challenged our coaches too. Johnny's got a lot of talent. You know, he's a backup right now. He's fresh. He should be playing on special teams. The coaches say, well, I don't trust Johnny. Well, okay, Johnny's coach. Get Johnny trustworthy. That's your job. Coach him how to be trustworthy. And so, you know, the guys that run those special teams are, you know, they're going to put the 11 guys out there that they trust the most. And so some of these guys that have the talent to be on them need to be on them. And you know, I run the punt team. We're going to have 11 dudes out there that I trust, you know, with everything. And we need to be able to do the same, but increase the talent level and freshness level of those other units with some of these guys and get them trustworthy.
Also, just checking, you had mentioned you're going to wait a while on tires to see if he would need any sort. Is that set, or is he going to need to have surgery?
He does need to have surgery, yeah. It's today, in fact.
Is that once they go in, is there a rough timetable? Are you expect to get him back this year?
Oh, yeah. I think best case is probably, since we're doing it today, 4 weeks, could be 6 weeks, could, you know, but whenever we get it back, he's going to play. I mean, and even if that's the bowl game. But you know, we haven't had a bye week yet, so we've got 6 more games plus an off week. So I'm hoping he gets a couple regular season snaps or games under his belt before the conference championship game and bowl game.
I'm not going to go off topic quite like the other conference call. I asked you about the presidential election.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just saw a story here. I guess this is new. The college football playoff is going to now give stipends to parents and grandparents and guardians of athletes who are going to be $2,500 to be able to travel to those games if you're in the playoffs. What do you think about that, Tom, generally speaking?
I mean, that's credit to Urban Meyer. He brought that up the first year of the playoffs. When we went to the playoffs, you know, it's you basically go to 2 bowl games within 9 or 10 days, and you're asking these parents to go. For us, it was from Columbus or Ohio to New Orleans, and then 9 days later go to Dallas, Texas. That's not right. To see your kid play in the ultimate championship of college football. And so I think even starting that year, the school was allowed to pay the parents or reimburse them for flights and gas and things like that. He got that done within a short couple months, but now it sounds like the CFP themselves are going to do it and take the load off the school. I think that's great. I think it's great. Well needed. I don't think that's a phrase, is it? Much needed? Yeah. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. Good. All right. Thank you.